and space occupying benign tumors. With the better control of bacterial infection and increased life expectancy, space occupying tumors in brain and pre-malignant conditions cause major health problems in 21st century. Radiotherapy, chemotherapy, surgery is the usual approach to these conditions in allopathic system, which is still a challenge to cure or stop recurrence of these type of diseases. In homeopathy, we often observed effectiveness of all these conditions because of our holistic approach to all these diseases. So, to assess, to evaluate the scope of homeopathy in these conditions, I have taken a study with an aim to study 30 patients, 15 of benign space occupying tumor lesions and 15 pre-malignant tumor cases, to study them with a statistical evaluation to know the scope of homeopathy in tumors and pre-malignant conditions basing on pre and post investigation reports. Duration of study is 3 years. Type of study, retrospective studies in my clinic, going back through my case records, which are cured. Study was made in between 2013 to 2016. Total cases taken 13 number. Cases included in the study who are clinically diagnosed and was confirmed by CT, MRI, and histopathological reports. Parameter of assessment, how I evaluate, how I take statistics. For that I fixed a parameter, and the parameter of assessment is size of tumor, which is the length, breadth, and height of tumor, assessed through pre and post MRI, CT scan report, and histopathological report as and when necessary. So my parameters are, when a tumor, there is a substantial gross regression of size up to 0 to 1 millimeter, there is marked improvement MI, and there is a 50% regression in size, partial improvement PI, no regression in size, no improvement NI, absence of anaplastic cells after treatment, marked improvement, presence of anaplastic cells, no improvement. Patient profile. So I have taken 30 cases, 15 benign, 15 pre-malignant, out of which there are 2 meningioma cases, 2 microadenoma pituitary, 5 uterine fibroid, 2 polycystic ovarian syndrome, 2 pseudopancreatic tumor pancreas, and 2 gallbladder polyp. In pre-malignant cases, I have taken astrocytoma 1, glioma 1, cervical interepithelial neoplasia type 1 case, similarly type 2 cases, and type 3 cases, leukoplakia 4 cases, and pleomorphic salivary adenoma 3 cases. So total 15 benign malignant cases I have taken in my study. Selection of medicine, potency, repetition schedule is strictly according to homeopathic principles, and patients were assessed clinically, radiologically in 1 month interval. Result assessed with the pre and post investigation reports and with statistical evaluation. So this is the result. Out of 2 meningioma cases, one is a marked improvement and other is a partial improvement. In case of microadenoma pituitary, we have got a better scope. I got 2 cases, and 2 cases are marked improvement that I'll show you regression of size completely. Uterine fibroid, I've got 5 cases in within 3 years. 2 have marked improvement, 2 have partial improvement, 1 not improved. PCOS, Out of 2 cases, 1 case marked improvement, 1 case partial improvement. Pseudopancreatic tumor of pancreas, we have got very good scope. 2 cases I got and 2 cases of marked improvement. GB polyp, I got 2 cases and unfortunately none of the case in case of gallbladder polyp is improved. So total out of 15 benign cases, 8 marked improvement, 4 partial improvement and 3 not improved. So out of these malignant 15 cases, I got 1 astrocytoma case not improved, glioma partially improved, cervical interepithelial neoplasia type 1 case I got marked improvement. Similarly, CIN type 2, little severe. Out of 2 cases, 2 partial improvement, and CIN type 3, mostly a malignant case. Out of 3, there is 2 partial improvement and not case improved. Out of leukoplakia in mouth, out of 4 cases, there is 1 marked improvement and 3 partial improvement. Out of pleomorphic salivary adenoma, out of 3 cases, marked improvement and 1 case not improved. Statistical evaluation I have made, I have adopted one method, that is one sample proportion test has been used for statistical evaluation. Similarly, Karnofsky performance status KPS has been used to evaluate pain and functional outcome in the cases who have not improved, both pre and post therapy calculated. See here, out of 30 cases, 24 improved, 6 not improved. After putting this sample proportion test, see result, there is a p-value is 0.001 at the level of significance, 0.05 in case of benign tumors, and in case of malignant tumors, p-value is a little not better, to 0.38 at the level of significance 5%. So that means there is statistical significant improvement of homeopathic treatment of tumors in benign cases, and while comparing statistical significance only of pre-malignant cases, p-value is 0.038. That is, effect of homeopathy in pre-malignant cases is comparatively less effective than benign cases. While putting the Karnofsky performance scale for the cases who are not improved, who are not cured, to see their quality of life, that is in case of glioma, astrocytoma, CIN type 2, type 3, and leukoplakia, the KPS scale is more than 70% after treatment, which shows there is significant improvement in the quality of life. It is what is Karnofsky scale. This scale is used by oncologists in allopathy when to a cancer patient who is not cured, and after the treatment, if they see that they fix the scale, if they see that there is a more than 70% improvement in the Karnofsky scale in the parameters, then it is the good quality of life. So before treatment, according to Karnofsky scale, it was 65% with my patients, which was 81% after treatment. So this is a summary of my study. Then I will just present 4 cases, 2 pre-malignant conditions and 2 space-occupying tumors in brain. Out of 2 pre-malignant conditions, I will present pleomorphic salivary adenoma and cervical interepithelial neoplasia type 1 case, petrous meningioma 1 case, and pituitary adenoma 1 case. So first case is Mr. P. Srichandran. I have taken his permission, case and name and his photograph also. He complains of a small swelling on left submandibular salivary gland. On examination, a firm, hard, mild, tender swelling in left side submandibular region along with a small lymph node palpable in cervical region. Diagnosis made by a surgeon, pleomorphic salivary submandibular salivary gland. So this is the patient, and see the gland here. So after consulting the surgery book, I have seen that the salivary adenoma is common in parotid gland, but the chances of malignancy is 10 to 20%. In submandibular salivary gland, the frequency of adenoma is uncommon, but chances of malignancy is 50%. And in sublingual gland, there is frequency is very rare, but the chances of malignancy is 85%. Because it is a potentially malignant nature, surgeon advised for apnea. We all know that we are getting every day the cases of mixed parotid tumor, mixed submandibular tumor, and out of them, actually, in case of parotid, there is less chances of malignancy, whereas in submandibular, there is 50% chances of malignancy, for which the oncologist advised him to go for an apnea. In the apnea report, you see possibility of papillary carcinoma cannot be ruled out. So looking to his histopathological cells, there is sheets of epithelial cells arranged in a papillary pattern with elongated nuclei. This is very important. Elongated nuclei, some showing abnormal nuclei, some showing nuclear groove. These are the conditions of pre-malignant nature, cyst of macrophage and lymphocytes on necrotic background. This is the date you see, 19/7/13. Oncologist advised for immediate operation, seeing the histopathology report indicating the tumor of pre-malignant nature. Patient, because he's poor, took decision to take homeopathy because he cannot afford for operation. Patient complaint. So I'm going to the case now. There's a hard swelling on submandibular region, increasing gradually. Mild pain when exposed to cold and damp weather. The pain aggravates at evening, aggravates lying on left side, aggravates after sleep in afternoon. There is weakness, and also there is having a hard indurated testis accompanying it before 2 years. Taking the physical general, there is desire sweet, desire salt, desire onion, intolerance fatty food, sweat offensive, there is intolerance to heat. Looking to past history, the recurrent chronic orchitis leading to testicular induration or hardness, history of vaccination, history of chickenpox. There is a family history of fibroadenoma breast of his mother, sister having uterine fibroid, father has tuberculosis, and lastly died of cancer lungs. Going to the mental symptoms, the patient, as you have seen his face, a very ugly patient, irritable, ill-humored, very argumentative nature, asked me during the interview whether I'll be cured or not, whether cancer is curable by you or not. Lot of questions he asked me, and argumentative type, sluggish in nature. And during interview, what I marked, he is very, very hasty in talking. While talking, shallow words, hurried in attitude. He was told by his son he is previously mixing nature, sociable, but gradually isolated himself because of depression. His son reported that the father is not coming out of room after the diagnosis, not attending office, though not so weak he is, causing a financial burden to family. Mental symptom, when he was sitting with me, on repeated asking by my side, it is not cancer. Why do you worry? Why are you not attending office? I asked him. He reluctantly told he feels that he is suffering from cancer. His death is approaching. And I told that, how do your death is approaching? He told that he confirms feeling the existence of spirits in his peculiar thing. He told that I always feel somebody is walking inside my room, in back of me likewise, feels another person is in the room, somebody looks over his shoulder. So these are all the fixed ideas, mental symptoms he complained. And now confined to one room, sits alone, not talk to anybody, and at times moves in the room in a circle. Analysis of the case. So looking to his fixed idea, I think it is a delusion. So delusion someone behind him because person believes that he will die of cancer, for which doctor advised him operation. So because he will die, I am telling the analysis of the case. He told he's a sluggish person. His son told, so dullness is the rubric. Argumentative, quarrelsome the rubric. Irritable, ill-humored, hurried, talks hastily, walks in circles in the room. Desires salt, sweet, onion, intolerance to fatty food, pain in gland aggravates cold, induration of glands, both salivary and testis. So reported rubrics have taken mind delusion, people behind someone sees people sees behind him. Mind irritable, mind quarrelsome, mind dull, sleep after in afternoon aggravation, lying on left side aggravation, fatty food aggravation, onion desire, induration glands, desire for sweet, desire for salt, offensive sweat, and delusion, someone walks behind him, what he complained, a fixed idea, and delusion, another person is in the room. So after hypotration, see the drugs came in this order: thuja, silesia, sulfur, phosphorus, natrium, lacasis. After hypotration, our job is to have a knowledge, application of knowledge of mathematica. So these are the entire drugs in the hypotration. So while considering mathematical chapter, I built up my totalities like this. My totalities, I give much emphasis to delusion in my practice. Next to delusion, I give emphasis to etiological factors. Then mental symptoms like will, intellect, memory. Then physical general. And lastly, any uncommon, peculiar, particular symptom with a consideration of past history, family history, and miasmatic of medicine. So I always give emphasis on delusion. Why? What is delusion? As you know that in Kent's repertory, delusion covers highest pages in the mind section. So because it is an important aspect of mind symptom, so Kent has given the highest pages to delusion in his mind section. So what is delusion? Actually, in practice, we are every day seeing, we're getting patients complaining delusion. But as we are not accustomed with the rubrics in the repertory, we are missing those points. We think, yes, he's telling something like common things. It is very common for him. But delusion means that common thing is delusion for a patient. As example, I will explain you. Delusion is the intense, exaggerated feeling of a normal fact, which becomes dominant and fixed and affects patient's behavior. I am repeating again. Delusion is the intense, exaggerated feeling of a normal fact, daily happening fact, which becomes dominant and fixed and affects patient's behavior. As example, I will tell you, all of us living in a society, we are not monks or saints, so we daily faced betrayal, grief, disappointment, monetary loss in our daily life. And this feeling subsides by our healthy vital force with strong willpower. But if the vital force is weak, the day-to-day common happenings become stuck and torn delusion, profoundly affecting behavior and perception. As example, you see, one old man came to me with his one son who is a civil IAS officer, come to me, and when he asked the old man, what is your complaint? He told, sir, Leviathan complaint. I feel I am being neglected. I am mentally harassed because my son is IAS officer and one is engineer, but I am mentally harassed. I am being neglected by them. So when I looked to his children, to his son, he told, sir, he laughingly told, sir, we are taking every care for him, sir. I do not believe to us. So why this patient is telling that I am being neglected? We all know that in argentum nitricum, the depth of anxiety for which there is a feeling of everything is going wrong with me as I am old. So this thing persisting in his mind that as I am old, that is tremendous anxiety, and because of anxiety, he always feels. A normal person will not feel, but because he has a tremendous anxiety, he always feels, I am old, I am being neglected. So this is a peculiar delusion of the old man, though it is a normal fact that the son and daughters taking care, every care, but he feels neglected. This is so in case reported as a rubric, I am being delusion, I am being neglected in argentum nitricum. So other delusions in argentum nitricum, because there is tremendous anxiety. So in argentum nitricum, other delusions in that he cannot succeed in life, does everything wrong in life, everything will fail. That is neglected like palladium. Similarly, looking to the Baretta carp, it is a good drug for autistic children, mentally dwarfed children, Down syndrome. So when the mother always tell, when coming to clinic, tell us my child is always complaining that he is being criticized at school, he is being loved by his schoolmates. So we went to his teacher. Then the teacher told nobody is actually criticizing. So why this delusion with the child? Because the child knows that his IQ is less. So there is a inferior complexity inside his mind. Always feels I am inferior. I cannot learn. I cannot cope up. So always there is a persistent feeling I am being laughed at, though nobody is laughing to him. I am being criticized in my back, though nobody is criticizing. So these are all delusions in Baretta carp. Every day we are facing, but we are missing it in practice. In Arammed, the Arammed person always strives to be best. Even after retirement from service, he felt his importance. So because he always thinks himself to be best, so delusion that she is not appreciated, that she is neglected. In Pulsatilla stramonium, there is a forsaken feeling and fear of dark. So they have a common delusion that she is always alone. In arsenic lachesis, because they are suspicious, delusion, conspiracies against him. So I always emphasize practice. Any patient coming to me, I will just go through asking his mental symptom. If I can get a symptom of this, and I'll give emphasis on this. So reportry I have seen, after reporterization, we have seen that these drugs are coming, and I look to the drugs which covers the main delusion that other persons are in the room. So in the reportorial room, drugs are Tapsagiria, Thuja, Silesia, Belladonna, Anacardium, Calcarea carp, Ferromet, Tuberculum, Dulcamera, Murrinum. So now it is the mathematical knowledge application to which drug will take. You will take Tapsagiria or Thuja or Silesia, because Tapsagiria is fast time. Can you take it? This is the mathematical knowledge application. So let us analyze the delusion of each drug so that we can know why this man having such delusion. In Staphylococcus, there is delusion, some people behind him present, but not like this man that he will die of cancer, he will die, and the spirits behind him, so other persons are in the room. Staphylococcus has no fear to death, no fear to cancer. His delusion, somebody is in the room, somebody behind him, is because he is highly conscious towards the feeling of others. Feels, had he committed some mistake unknowingly, and others are present which are observed by them, for which he looked back. If anybody is observing my guilty, if I have done unknowingly, made with a feeling, some people behind him. So what I want to tell you here is that because he is very much conscious, highly conscious towards other feeling, and always a feeling, am I committing mistake which can be pointed out by anybody? So he is conscious and always looks whether other persons are there to point out my mistake if I have unknowingly made. So this is the delusion that some other person behind me or with me to observe my unknowingly fault. Moreover, Staphylococcus, though comes in fast tank, cannot be prescribed because we know Staphylococcus is very sensitive to what others say about him. He is always very conscious of his dignity, of his prestige, always looks anything telling bad to him. He is very careful to reprimand. One should show a to him while talking. If somebody show a bad face, reprimand, then he will went out. He is very conscious of his dignity and prestige. Fear of financial loss. All these things are not in this patient, but rather reverse character. This patient, even before final diagnosis, did not attend office, ignoring others' interest, not caring to reprimand, not caring to dignity in the family, in his family, and financial loss. So Staphylococcus is excluded. Coming to the anacardium, another drug coming in this reportorial chart, there is another person in the room. Anacardium delusion is again not fear of cancer, not fear of death, but there is a duality state in anacardium. Why there is a duality state in anacardium? Anacardium, like carcinosin, has a strict parental childhood, not allowed to take his own decision. So when he is not allowed to take his own decision in childhood, later he became suppressed. At the teenage, he becomes hard, antisocial. But at times, so anacardium is a very coarse others, very irritable, very bad personality because of this strict parental childhood. But when he is doing this bad mischief acts, at times he thinks to restrict his demonic side, this bad side, a struggle between divine and demonic spirit. That makes him as if he has two wills. Some will is obstruct him to do the bad things, and some will do. So delusion of being double. Oh, okay. Hello? Delusion, hello?
Yes, sir. Please continue. Please.
Okay. Delusion in Silesia. Delusion not because of fear of death. We know in Silesia there is a fixed idea. If you interpret the Silesia fixed idea, Silesia try to retain his fixed image and conscious about what others think. That Silesia has got tremendous stage fright. So, like so delusion, because he always want to retain his fixed image, a good image. So delusion, some people observing his weakness while telling. So delusion, he has a delusion, everything will fail. So his delusion is not because of cancer and death, but because his some people observing his weakness. Kalkiriakar, we know intense fear of suffering, intense fear of surgery, intense fear of disease, intense fear of recovery, so intense fear of ghosts. So Kalkiriakar delusion of another person is in the room is because there is a fear of ghosts. Lachesis has got this delusion. Lachesis aggravates by heat, but lacks Lachesis other symptoms is lacking with the patient. Lachesis is loquacious. Lachesis is jesting, joking fellow, witty fellow, very animated fellow, laughing, vividly expressive, which is all lacking with these patients. So these drugs are all excluded. Thuja has got a fixed idea that death is approaching because doctor advised for surgery for his cancer tumor. He has fixed idea that I am going to die and spirits are there to take me after my death. So delusion as his spirits were at his side as death is nearer. Delusion someone is behind. This Thuja delusion because of his fixed idea that I am going to die. To analyze medicines for delusion in this case, Staphylococcus delusion due to conscious towards others feeling, anacardium delusion due to dual mentality, Silesia due to fixed idea to retain a good image, Kalkiriakar fear of everything, so delusion of ghosts, Thuja not apprehensive but dominant fixed idea which made him to think gland is cancer, I will die, and spirits are in the room. So, mathematical consideration. This case is, after going through the case, multi-miasmatic with a psychotic dominance. Of medicine, the peculiar delusion due to fixed idea will die and other spirits are in the room. Moving in a circle inside the room, the only medicine Phatak mathematica is Thuja. The patient is quarrelsome, irritable, hurried, talks hastily, sad, depressed, desire onion, salt, sweet, intolerance to fat, offensive sweat, indulgence of glands. So, in the family history, fibroadenoma-based fibroid uterus cancer, past history vaccination, chronic induced testis indicates psychotic myosm. So considering all these factors, I choose the second medicine reported suggestion, Thuja oak. Thuja oak was given in ascending order, 200 2 times, 1 m 2 times, 10 m 2 times. See the improvement because time is very less. I'm follow-up. I'm telling very hastily. So after 10 m, the gradually first the pain subsides, then swelling didn't subside, became static, and after 10 m, swelling becomes static and pain less than before. Thuja CM, no further improvement. Already from 2013 to 25 March 2014, already 8 months passed. So because the gland is painless but swelling static and feels more indurated. So he persisted me, sir, advised me for FNAC, let me see what is happening to a treatment. So this is the second biopsy report. See the date 25/3/14. Here I have sent the case to the pathologist earlier. The another surgeon sent. Here again the report is very bad. Biopsy is strongly suggested to differentiate metastatic papillary carcinoma or salivary neoplasm because there is the nucleus is round to elongated, nucleus arranged in papillary pattern. So all the things are getting worse than before, and there is induration of gland and hardening of glands. So this perturbed me. So the patient is not leaving me, he's coming again, sir, do something. So what I have told, so when there is a partial improvement, either if you go through Kane's 12 observation, either case is incurable or selection of medicine is wrong. So in this situation, I think let us have a reconsideration of the case. So while I sat with the patient at least 45 minutes, I go on asking, tell me how it happened. You are leading a good life. How this gland came? He told, sir, once I had been to Puri. You all know Puri Sea Beach, Puri Sea. I had been to Puri, took sea bath, come back from Puri to Khurda in a bike under heat of sun, then caught cold for a prolonged period, and then this pain and swelling started. So I asked him, why don't you tell me this point earlier? He replied, several times I spent hours together at sea beach, but never suffered. So I did not feel sea bathing could have been a cause for my suffering. We know in Approach 73, latent sora, which remains dormant, has a transient explosion when exposed to exciting causes like chill, overheating, etc. So when he exposed to heat and cold, because of sea bathing and coming under sun, this could have happened. So I again reporterized the case, taking the strong etiology that aggravation after sea bath, but not aggravation at sea beach. Very peculiar. You know, this is in many medicines, aggravation after sea bath, but not aggravates at sea. Someone is behind him, strange person looking over his patient's shoulder, lying on left side aggravation, stony haired gland. So these are the rubrics I have taken: delusion, someone behind, someone is looking over a shoulder, sea bathing aggravates, sun exposure aggravates, lying on left side aggravates, induration glands. You see, the drugs comes in this order: bromium, magnesium, belladonna, lachesis. Completely no Thuja is here because we have ignored physical general and giving emphasis to my earlier 2 points. Delusion, etiology, I have given emphasis only here. Selection of medicine, bathing in sea aggravates and heat exposure aggravates. Other drugs are bromium, magnesium, natromiur, medroinum, arsenical. But we know in natromiur, though there is aggravation after sea bathing exposed to heat, and the patient here is irritable, silent, isolated himself, easily angered, desires salt, but the main delusion, one type peculiar delusion, some people behind him, is not in natromiur. Carcinosin, we can think of, we know carcinosin, but it is a complete different character than this person. Carcinosin patient has a tendency to perform exceedingly well in the life, superhuman effort to survive, good control over oneself is very much even a cancer patient with a good hope I will definitely cured. Ideal for others, even with suffering of cancer, striving to be a perfect parent, perfect husband, perfect worker, a perfectionist, sympathetic, good humor, tend to accumulate all grief within himself. So this is a complete reverse character of my patient. So another drug, Conayam, is also coming nearer because delusion of people in the room in Conayam, hard inhibitory gland is Conayam, but the main causative factors, bathing in the sea and sun exposure, is lacking in Conayam, so Conayam is excluded. So all these points, delusion, bromium covered, someone behind him, bromium covered, and someone patient sees after turning back, bromium, only drug in Phathaks Mathematica, bathing in the sea, bromium, exposed to sun, bromium, endotracheal glands, bromium. So made me to select bromium, and bromium is given in ascending order 201 m, repeating twice each potency, and see tumor gradually regress up to size up to 50% in after 10 m, and even after 10 m repetition not palpable. So patient is subsiding, but unfortunately this patient again went exposed to cold after coming from his room, and there is a relapse. So there is a family history of tuberculosis. I have told you, recurrent exposure to cold complaints aggravates, irritable patient, quarrelsome patient. So I thought to give a nosoraz intracurrent tuberculum tenem. It helps me, and tuberculum take away the gland and also the pain there, but old symptoms recurred. Severe itching in the body, he was having it 2-3 years back, attack of cold, slightest exposure to cold. And as we know, there is depression, hopelessness, despair of recovery, even though now he is without symptom, history of tinea. So I think of giving a antipsoric drug, and all the symptoms, that is depression, hopelessness, despair of recovery, all are in Sorinum. So Sorinum 10 m, 2 doses given, and the patient is improving in all respects. So he persisted to go for another FNC report. See, this is a report is cytomorphology suggestive of chronic sialoadenitis with cystic degeneration. With cystic degeneration, that means that is no such cells are there, no abnormal nuclei, no nuclear groove, so and simply suggests a chronic submandibular adenitis with cystic degeneration. There is no trace of any abnormal pre-malignant cells. This is the patient's. The gland is I am palpating the gland is not there. Patient is fine, he is happy. So following Hahnemann's clinical classical homeopathy cure of a pre-malignant condition. Second case is case of cervical interepithelial neoplasia type 1. This patient pathology reverse. A case of CIN type 1, pap smear was advised. The dysplastic cells are found. You see here, dysplastic changes is quite obvious, touching half thicken of epithelium in some places. Ulceration, moderately dysplastic cells with infiltration, CIN1. So the patient, I'm now making fast, time is less. So there is anxiety for disease. The patient is irritable, vindictive, or moved by apology like other patient, and lot of delusions, offensive, foul-smelling, intermittent discharge from cervix, irregular bleeding, diarrhea tendency, extreme weakness, desire salt, aversion sweet. All these things lead to nitric acid, and I applied an ascending potency, and it helped the patient very effectively. Menses normal, offensive discharge stopped, advised to repeat pap smear. See, severe inflammatory changes. So you see, I have in my experience, I have seen any pre-malignant case changing back or pathology reversing back, they are replaced by inflammatory changes. That is a very peculiar thing which was also observed by some studies. I will tell in the last. So there is no trichovaginal pneumonia, dysplastic cells and malignant cells not found. Smear shows no dysplastic cells, only inflammatory changes. The CIN type stage reversed to benign stage. Third case, two benign cases. In brief, I'll pass over to these benign cases. A case of Petrus meningioma. The patient, I have taken permission to show his case. The patient is complaining of trembling, twitching of muscles of right side of face, paralysis, numbness of right side of face, hissing sound in right ear, tasteless of right side of tongue. So paralysis of right side in all aspects. Look to the face of the patient, completely paralytic face. So the bad paralytic condition, tinnitus, hissing sound, for CT scan by the oncologist, and that the impression is dural based enhancing mass lesion in right temporal lobe meningioma with the bulk and extent as described. So looking to his reports, you see a very clear meningioma looks in the right temporal lobe. Confirm this, they are advised for MRI. In the MRI, you see the same thing, lobulated enhancing mass noted over right side of petrous bone with the dural tail, sign extension to right inner ear and internal auditory canal as described. You see, this is the very cleanly seen the meningiomas. So a case of diagnosed case of Petrus meningioma, both symptomatologically and radiologically. So I am going in brief, not like the other case in detail. In short, the patient has got mental symptom like anxiety, trifles about, mentally sluggish, obstinate, introvert, psychotic, profuse perspiration, aversion milk. Particulars, because there is a Petrus meningioma eroding the internal ear, there is a twitching of facial muscles, paralysis of facial muscles of right side, hissing sound in ear, numbness of face. On reportation, Kalkiriak curve came. Selection medicine, because the person is sluggish, apprehensive, obstinate, profuse perspiration, aversion milk, Kalkiriak curve given in millisimal potency. So as the potency increased, improvement is going on, but static after O by 12 or 13. So I switched over to again CM, this is centesimal scale, 10M potency, and after giving Kalkiriak curve 10M, facial paralysis is partially less, but no other observation. The case becomes static, right side paralysis, no improvement, even if the symptoms are same, as we know in causticum, when the indicated drug fails to act, Allen's keynote, when the indicated drug fails to act, you can think of causticum to stimulate. So causticum 1 am given. So in the 11th visit, there is partial amelioration to facial paralysis. There is partial, not playing, there is partial amelioration to the facial paralysis, not fully improved. So when indicated drug fails, maybe a miasmatic obstacle, family, so I seek for again, family for tuberculosis, asthma, past history prone to cold, tuberculum 1M given, 12th visit, steady improvement. 13 visit tuberculum 10M, facial paralysis, twitching, headache, vertigo completely improved. But tinnitus, impaired hearing did not improve because I have told you that internal ear semicircular canal already eroded by the pressure of petrous meningioma. So these two things remained, tinnitus and impaired hearing. To review this stage of meningioma, I advise the CT of brain. This is, by God's grace, there is a normal study, suggested clinical, there is nothing. Look to his reports, the meningioma is not seen. Look to his now condition. See how the facial paralysis improved a greater extent, patient able to speak, patient able to, she is happy. It is in our colloquial language, difficult to understand by non-Odia persons. However, he is telling that excepting tinnitus and impaired hearing, no other complaint is there. So this case is completely cured. And the last case is a pituitary adenoma, pre and post treatment report. I'll just show you because already 6, only 10 minutes time for me, as Dr. Muktinder Singh told me 70 minutes will allocate to you. I'll finish within 10 minutes more.
You can take, you can finish by 6:20.
15 minutes I'll finish, sir. Okay? 15 minutes.
Take your time.
15 minutes. Because other speaker is there. So 10, 15 minutes I'm finishing it. I start by 5:15. So now by 5:10, 6:10 I'll finish. 6:10, 15. Okay? I'm finishing quickly. So fourth case, a pituitary adenoma case. I'm not going through the case report. Simply I'll show you the pre and post treatment reports. See here. The pituitary is normal in size, shape, etc. Enhancing hypoechoic solid in the left paramedian position of could be a microadenoma. So the microadenoma measures 2.2 mm in cranial caudal and 4 mm in the transverse and 2.2 mm in the. So we all know that when there is a microadenoma pituitary, there is prolactin level goes very high. So likewise, prolactin level is 237. See how much it is. It is the normal is up to female up to 26, but here 237. And the lady complains of secretion of milk from breast. She is a very elderly lady, but he tells there is continuous secretion of milk from the breast, tremendous headache, vomiting, tiredness, lethargic, all these complaints are there. And this lady is unlike others, is a very sober lady, and lacrimose, weeping tendency, and very well-behaved lady, intolerance to fat, thirstless, there. And simply I've given pulsatilla, millisimal potency starting from 0 to up to 26, and at 26 you see the report, pituitary is normal. Pituitary is normal in size and shape, and no focal lesions seen in the study, non-pituitary, and its prolactin level 0.7. See how much is drastically reduced because the adenoma has gone. So discussion part, in homeopathy, we have got better scope for benign tumors and cysts. As we have seen, there is marked improvement in meningioma, completely the size regressed. Pseudopancreatic tumor is a very bad case for allopaths, but I will tell my dear friends, pseudopancreatic tumor is very easy for us to cure by classical homeopathic treatment. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, we are getting number of cases daily. A good practitioner getting at least 4 or 5 cases for PCOS. Unfortunately, the result is not bad, not good. They will. We are. In my result, I got 50% result, as I have shown you. 50% improvement in PCOS, and 50% patients are not improving, not because of homeopathic fault, but because, as we know, that in polycystic ovarian disease, it is due to obesity, faulty lifestyle, want of exercise, taking fatty food, taking fast food, and these things they will these young girls, these teenager girls, they will not avoid fast food. They will never do walking exercise, becoming obese and not cured. This is not fault of homeopathy. The ladies who undergo our advice, regular exercise, avoidance of fat food, and homeopathy help them best. Then uterine fibroid, little difficult, 50% case improvement. So I have also made one work on uterine fibroid, that up to which extent size this can be reduced. In some of the seminars I'll give another this they have up to which extent, up to which type, and up to which extent the size with fibroid can we handle or we should deny. And micro pituitary, very good case, because we all know that when there is a good symptomatology with the patient, we can definitely pick up a good medicine, we can cure. In migraine pituitary, lot of good symptoms, the patients will come with a lot of good symptoms, and if you can catch the symptoms, you can cure. And in the glioma, do nothing to be harassed. There is, you can arrest the development, and there is partial improvement in glioma. In pre-malignant cases, in case of cervical interepithelial neoplasia type 1, this is our domain. We can definitely treat it 100% success. Pleomorphic salivary adenoma, as we know, if it is of parotid, good result, because malignancy is not so, chances malignancy is not so much, so we can take time to cure. But in case of submandibular, if you don't reverse it immediately, this is past malignancy. But still, as we have seen in this case, we can cure these cases. See, cervical interepithelial neoplasia type 3, astrocytoma, difficult. In my practice, I am unable to cure those cases, but giving the indicated drug shows marked improvement in quality of life as evaluated in Karnofsky PS scale. Who continued my treatment, though not cured, who are under my treatment, they show a good quality of life using medicines. Drugs which helps me see, phosphorus, I prescribe to 6 persons, and number of cases found effective 4. There is 67% curative is phosphorus. As you know, phosphorus is a well-proved drug. So when phosphorus is indicated, it can impact have a cure. So 67% cure cases with the patients who indicate phosphorus symptom. Calcirecarp, 5% patients indicated, 3 cured, 60%. So it is also a good drug having a good proving symptom, so cured. Tiberculum help as intercurrent. Thuja is also a good drug if symptom persist. So I prescribed in 2 cases and effective in 1 case 50%. Nitric acid, very good. All senior practitioners are here. I am sure that they have been seeing the improvement of cervical cancer, cervical erosion by nitric acid. Other drugs helping me, carcinosin, silesia, animalis, carbophage likewise in other cases. Another of my experience is that single drug given in
Sir, please continue.
Okay, just going to finish. What is your annotation request? Requesting to annotate the shared content. What is something coming?
Sir, ignore it. You please continue.
Okay, so single drugs given in a rubric is very effective. We have seen that in repertory, there are a lot of single drugs in a rubric. If you can get a single medicine against rubric, that drugs helps you very much. I have seen in the repertory under astrocytoma, plumbum iodine is given as a single drug, and it helps in the development paralysis. It arrests the development paralysis. Naphthoquinone is a rare drug. It helps to arrest rapid development of glioma. Valodorata is a single drug given against fibroid uterus in burning pains specifically. Lapis alb, intense hemorrhage in uterine fibroid, single drug. So when there is a fibroid with intense hemorrhage, lapis alb can be given. May not be curative, but very good palliative. Myoma, large hard, single drug, Calcarea floor. Tarantula hispanica is a very good drug. You see, I have got number of cases of neurofibroma in the spinal cord, and that gives intense pain, paralysis. And for palliating these conditions, there is a single medicine in the repertory, that the tumor of spinal cord, Tarantula hispanica. And you may not believe, my friends, that if you give Tarantula continuously, pain subsides and the quality of life is improved by Tarantula. এটা যাউন কি দেখলা চলুনি so slides miasmatic discussion. While treating a multi-miasmatic case, plan of treatment given by Hahnemann in chronic disease, psoric miasm first, then fulminant miasm, end with antipsoric miasm. But in this case, there is a psychosyphilitic dominance with a history of suppression of psoric miasm. So accordingly, first Thuja is given, then indicate drug and ended with antipsoric treatment. Conclusion: for this type of difficult cases, homeopathy is superb. You can depend on homeopathic medicines, but remember, while taking the case, while treating a case, mental symptom, more specifically delusions are important, and others to be emphasized are etiological factor, miasmatic clearance, past history, family history. And while dealing such cases, you see, for the salivary adenoma, I take 2 years, 14 July 13 to 18th December 15, 2.5 years to cure a case of salivary adenoma. Meningioma, again 1.5 years. Pituitary adenoma, again 1 year. So it takes prolonged time, not one single drug prescription, a zigzag way prescription, as and when needed. Sometimes family history, sometimes past history, sometimes miasmatic, sometimes like this. So zigzag prescription. Patience of the doctor, knowledge on Kien's toleration are essential to deal these cases. So thank you. Thanks for all of you for the patient hearing. I thank to IHP Mission Director, IHP Mission, our Scientific Committee Chairman, my Chairman, Dr. Deepak Sharma, Dr. V.K. Gupta, Dr. Anbir Hussain, and other seniors who are present in the webinar, for giving me the opportunity to share my views here. And I think I'm enough thankful to Dr. Muktinder Singh, who is taking a lot of pain to organize this type of seminars, taking much in sparing his valuable time from his practice. Thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Muktinder Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Nanda sir. We are blessed to have an insight, and that gives us immense confidence when we see such cases, and gives us a lot of insight, and that amount of, especially to the freshers, that we can also make the change with homeopathy, because in most of the time we need malignancies and pathologies. It is very hard to get that confidence, because there is a pressure of patient, and patient always prefers allopathy. And
Sir, very much thank you to Dr. L.K. Nanda sir.
Not very audible.
hello. So I invite Dr. Deepak Sharma. Sir, please unmute yourself. Yes, and
That
please.
Sir,
was
good.
quite a presentation, Dr. Nanda. How smoothly, how easily you made us go through very honestly your experiences in treating these difficult diseases. A very good evening, dear fellow homeopaths. Your presence today in such a large number shows the thirst of knowledge you all have to work towards the betterment of health of your patients and also the society as a whole through our great science. On behalf of everyone present today, as keen students and thirsty learners, I thank Dr. L.K. Nanda for his guidance on precancerous and space-occupying lesions, knowledge of his own experiences to guide us in these difficult diseases as homeopaths and make us more confident in dealing with these diseases. In fact, most homeopaths are frequently visited by patients with precancerous lesions, specifically of the oral mucosa. We all see cases like leukoplakia, submucous fibrosis, very commonly in a clinic. Now, the way Dr. Nanda has explained, utilizing classical homeopathy, what importance is to be given to which symptom, definitely will be much more stronger and confident in treating such cases. And the cases he has shown, amazing. He has very honestly shown us about where he failed, why he failed. He has very honestly taken us through different delusions. What a learning. Amazed. After today's eye-opening and confidence-building presentation, we all should be much more confident now in treating such cases. Dr. Nanda needs introduction. Dr. Muktender Singh already introduced him, but still I would like to say he has huge 43 years of experience in clinical practice and 33 years as a teacher. And he stood by his awards, so many awards which he has won in today's presentation. Just for the knowledge of all present today, Dr. Nanda has won Homeobhushan National Award in 2015. And he has also won the WHO Fellowship Award in 1995. Friends, I have a few points I would like to put. Can you please mute all of you? This is very disturbing for everyone.
Yeah, all the participants are requested to please maintain the discipline. Dr. Deepak, please continue.
So, sir, I was just talking my heart out today. My dear friends and homeopaths, we all use computers. Even today we are using. And we all know that computer is as good as its softwares. If no software is loaded, it will not perform that task. And same holds true for us homeopaths. I thank all the organizing committee members of IIHP who take pains to make sure we keep getting the latest and best possible softwares in the form of these webinars from eminent doctors and teachers. My special thanks today to respected Dr. M.A. Rao, the National President, Dr. Kochar, the Secretary General, Dr. V.K. Gupta, Padam Shri, who is the President of Honor of IIHP, and last but not the least, the hard-working Dr. Muktender Singh. I thank them to have provided me the opportunity today to chair this fantastic session. Friends, our great Dr. Hahnemann and all other great masters after him, they lived through us homeopaths. What a great physician and scientist we all know Dr. Hahnemann was, who taught us the impeccable laws of homeopathy, which we all are using in our everyday life and gaining at all fronts with it. The highest being ability to cure difficult diseases where other systems fail to relieve. How Dr. Nanda showed a truly so-called truly surgical case of adenoma was cured by his rightful selection. And in that case, he showed what he was missing in the first case taking, thus putting in front of us the importance of causation, importance of delusion, the mind symptoms. Dr. Hahnemann worked tirelessly till his last, and as we all know, he gave the 6th edition just 1 year before his death. This is another thing that it took 79 years for that 6th edition to be published. Think, my dear friends, if Dr. Hahnemann was alive today, being the great visionary he was, don't we all agree that for sure he would have kept updating the organon and we would have had few more editions? Fellow homeopaths, that job he has left to us, to update ours with the latest in scientific and medical world. I do not mean by this to change the way we perceive a case, analyze a case, or treat a case. It always remain on symptoms totality, but we have to update ourselves as per the need of the hour. And IIHP is doing a great job in fulfilling that requirement. Dr. Hahnemann's classification of diseases was wonderful considering the era he lived in. And as we all know, that era was of relative darkness in the medical science. Would you not all agree that Dr. Hahnemann, if present today, would not he have treated a case of, let us say, sudden loss of memory, forgetfulness with sudden loss of memory, developing suddenly in a young person? Do you think he would have just treated that case on symptom totality? Let us say with whatever medicine came on repertorization or material knowledge, or rather his vast knowledge gained alongside the modern sciences would warn him to do an MRI for this patient to rule out an SOL in the brain, to select the remedy covering from that aspect also. Would he have straight away diagnosed with multiple skin tags and acanthosis nigricans as a psychotic case, requiring an antipsychotic medicine coming up on repertorization? Or these signs would have warned him of insulin resistance in the patient? And although his selection of medicine would have been on totality, but he would be able to guide the patient much better accordingly. As my very close dear friend from New Delhi, Dr. Amrish Tayal in our CMEs always say, whenever you are seeing a patient with some symptoms, always ask yourself where that symptom is coming from before deciding on a remedy and the protocol to be followed. Today's presentation was by Dr. Nanda. It is definitely going to boost our confidence in catching and treating advanced pathologies on time. After recognizing and confirming the conditions, we can apply our knowledge of homeopathy. Everything in homeopathy, organon, materia medica, repertorization, all in treating these conditions before the pathology becomes irreversible. Let us all put the literal meaning of the phrase, aude sapere, in our daily life. Thank you, friends. That's from me today. Let us all dare to be wise.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak. I would like to tell you all that Dr. Deepak is from Oman, and he is a practitioner, senior practitioner, and a very learned person and very confident homeopath. And he has his own understanding on certain subjects. When we went to Dubai with Dr. Rao, so he was there, and it was a nice meeting to him. And he has very elaboratively, in few words, has shown us the further scope of homeopathy, and
सर जरा
definitely
ऊंचा
yes, Dr.
जरा ऊंचा आवाज से बोलिए सर.
I'm audible now. So, Dr. Tanveer, please come in front. And what I was saying is that today's webinar will give us immense confidence about treating the pathological cases, and with that, we can always be proactive. And this kind of cases, see, for the youngsters, I have a message that this kind of cases gives you a lot of laurel in your practice, and they establish you as a very important person in your society. Even amongst the allopath, you get a lot of reverence, recognition, and respect when you show such kind of cases. So now I'm inviting Dr. Tanveer Hussain to be in front to show us and to thank the RC resource persons, and then we'll wind up these events. Dr. Tanveer, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mukhinder Singh. First of all, I would like to congratulate to Dr. Inspector L.K. Nanda sir for today's beautiful presentation. It was altogether a very compact and complete presentation, starting from case taking up to the follow-ups. It was full of guidelines which are given by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann in his Organ of Medicine. If we start analyzing his whole presentation, he started with very rational kind of case taking. Everything he took into consideration, starting from his case taking. Then it was not only case taking, but it was more case perceiving rather. And from that, he was very successfully able to find the indications. What is curable? What is to be cured in the patient according to third aphorism of Organ of Medicine? What is to be cured? The proper indications of the patient. It is not so easy job to find PQRS from a patient, because we all take the case, but it makes a lot of difference when we are selecting the proper indications for any reportization for the further journey of our case taking. And after that, not only he took those indications into consideration, but he was very rightly and very rationally able to interpret into the repertorial languages, to convert them into the rubrics. Those rubrics which he showed us were very appropriate to the cases, very rational ones. No one can challenge those rubrics, because he was very appropriate, and he was always. I was looking into his all presentation. He was following the guidelines by Dr. Hahnemann, maybe from chronic disease, maybe from Organ of Medicine. He was very much following that path, which was very learning for us, which were very informative for all of us. Not only that, after reportization also, he proved through his case perceiving and his reportization that repertory is not an end in itself, rather it's a means to an end. So the medicine which was not in the first or second number, he chose both that medicine which was there according to his differential diagnosis, according to his comparative study of his medicines, because he has taken all those indicated medicines in front of us. Why he ruled out those medicines which were not right for the patient, which was not for the simillimum for the patient. So friends, after that comparative study of all those medicines coming into the repertorial analysis, He chose the right medicine, considering the miasmatic analysis, choosing this miasmatic understanding along with past history, family history of the patient. Though he started his journey in a straight way, but when he took his etiological factor into consideration after puja, when it was not working further, then he made his prescription zigzag. This is what is required in chronic cases, because in most of the chronic cases, one single medicine is most of the time is not able to complete the cure. So we need to go zigzag according to the symptomatology of the patient. So he very well followed his patient to his proper destination. Sir, it was altogether a very fantastic and very informative seminar. We have learned so many things from this small session, this webinar. We would love to learn from you in the future also, because the way you have presented, it was altogether very, very Honeymanian. Salute you to Dr. L.K. Nanda, sir. It is from my heart that I am talking to you, because everybody, even Dr. Deepak Sharma ji, good evening, Dr. Deepak Sharma ji. After long time we are meeting on this webinar after Dubai's meeting, and the way you have summed up this whole, because I was looking in the impression of Dr. Deepak Sharma. He was so happy. He was so satisfied with this presentation, because you made everybody so satisfied. There is no question of any question to ask you regarding any, because all the things were very, very self-explanatory. As very rightly Dr. Deepak Sharma told, that though cases were very tough, though cases were very, very difficult to crack, but you made these things so simple. Because if we understand homeopathy in a Honeymanian way, it is very, very simple. It is very, very easy to practice. But sometimes the people like me or other people, there are many people who are not well versed with this all kind of information, because a good pilot, a good driver, he knows only how to apply brake, how to apply acceleration, and where to move and where to cut, all that thing. And you made all this journey very, very safe. You landed up with very nicely with your all patients. It was altogether very wonderful presentation. I thank you once again, Dr. Respected L.K. Nanda, sir. Dr. Deepak Sharma ji has very nicely concluded, very nicely summed up all the things. I am very much agree with Dr. Deepak Sharma that suppose today Dr. Honeyman, if he were alive, then he would have given us further editions of Organon also, because in his own sixth edition of Organon, he said it is it is the most perfected one, not the last one, because he has put almost etc., etc., etc. in his Organon for more than 108 times in Organon of Medicine. There are many scopes to improve it. Dr. Honeyman has given us some scopes to improve this Organon also, because he has put etc., etc., etc. for more than 108 times in his Organon. So altogether, it was very nice evening, very nice information, very compact and very rational seminar we have listening after a long time. So always I love Dr. L.K. Nanda sir's presentation. I thank him from the very bottom of my heart. I thank Dr. Deepak Sharma ji. We will also love to listen from Dr. Deepak Sharma. I know that you are also having very informative data with you. Definitely, we will invite you on this platform, because I have listened to you in Dubai. You were also very fantastic in presentation, all the things. So I thank our national president, Dr. M.A. Rao sir, our national honorable president, Dr. P.K. Gupta sir, and all CEC members, state presidents, all the audience who has given us valuable time, the quality time they have given us. And I'm very happy, and I can say very, it's my strong conviction that everybody has got very wonderful information from today's seminar. Thank you very much, Dr. Muktinder Singh, for taking all the pains to arrange all these webinars in a so wonderful manner. So I wish all the best for the future seminars also, webinars also. Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much, Dr. Nanda sir, Dr. Deepak Sharma ji. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tanveer. I have an announcement today that from now onward, we'll be hosting these webinars after 2 weeks now, say after on alternate Sundays. And our next event will be for PG students and PhD scholars. So we are choosing certain topics which will be dedicatedly helpful for the PG and PhD students. So now the frequency of seminar, because we were getting a lot of feedback about that people in remote areas, they are running short of their data and there are too many webinars. So sometime it is saying that too much analysis lead to paralysis. So it is hard for people to digest too much of information. So we have decided to maintain the quality and to decrease the quantity but maintain the quality. So we'll be trying to update quality, and we are trying to uh, bring in many international speakers also. So once again, thanks to the CEC committee, Dr. Rao sir, Dr. VK Gupta sir, and a special thanks to Dr. LK Nanda sir. And one thing I would like to add is the students need. Dr. Hahnemann has given multiple approaches. Sometimes what we do is we stick to only finding a constitutional remedy and become so fanatic about one kind of approach that we forget to apply the other tools given by our master into our organ of medicine. He has given different, as Dr. Nanda has explained today, the zigzag approach. Same way, there are multiple approaches like using acute intercurrent, using chronic intercurrent remedies, using the this miasmatic remedies, or for one-sided diseases, he gives importance to just present, predominating, persisting symptoms. So there are, I have found more than 10, 12 type of approaches given by Dr. Hahnemann, that when his patient is coming from allopaths, what are your strategies? When patient is coming from other allopaths, what are your strategies? When patient is an intellectual, what are your strategies? So Hahnemann has really given us so many tools, but many a times in these modern school of teachings, they are mixing all kind of approaches and taking their stamp on it, and students think that the only way to prescribe is one which is taught by our modern schools. These modern schools, they are just copying some classical authors and printing in their books, and this is sometimes misguiding the students. So I would invite and urge all the students and doctors to read the classical our master's literature, which gives us all the escape routes from the difficult situations. Dr. Nanda has been able to do this because he has read the classical literature, he has read the organon of medicine, he has read the source books. So never leave source book for the modern books. Modern books might help you, but the source book will always give you a way when you are stuck up. Now logging off from today's event, I again finally thank to all the masters and our CC members, and especially the participants who always spare their valuable time for the IAHP webinars. And IAHP is dedicated for the free education for all. We are not selling the education. We are trying to bring in the best resource person at the most convenient time and in a best possible way, and which is not costing you on your pockets, but it is giving you great food for your thought. So I thank you all again for being patiently participating, and all CC members and all state executive committee members who are contributing immensely, especially the delegates from UAE. You must be aware that IAHP has a strong unit at IAHP. So in Dubai, in UAE, so Dr. Ritu and Dr. Deepak and we had so all these things are very instrumental for us, and we are looking to further expand the IAHP. And I would again invite all the students to opt for the membership of IAHP. All those who are not already the member of IAHP, they should just join the IAHP. There is a website of IAHP where you can join IAHP, or you can talk to any of us or Dr. M.A. Rao. You can send it to my number, Dr. Tanveer's number. You just send me your credentials. We'll definitely like to invite you and make you a part of IAHP family. Even we have free student memberships for institutional memberships. So we'll be giving all this information, and all these webinars, they are uploaded on YouTube also very next day. So all previous webinars are already available on YouTube. Same way this event would also be uploaded on YouTube. Now I once again thank you all from core of my heart. Thank you once again. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Sir, hello sir, hello,
Yes, yes.
hello.
So,
सर आज की मीटिंग वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग है, आज की मीटिंग का वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग।
यस यस, ये मिलेगा यूट्यूब पे, अपलोड हो जाएगा कल तक।
अच्छा यूट्यूब।
IHP के चैनल।
Dr. Singh, I have a small request and an observation. We are all qualified people in this group, joining this group to learn a lot, but we don't understand the importance of keeping ourselves mute when someone is talking. So many times, some or the other participant go off mute, disturbing the speaker. So I request everyone participating in the group to make sure to mute themselves when someone is speaking. That's a request from my side. Please pardon me if I am hurting anyone, but this is a very sincere request to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak, for your concern, but there are so many technical issues, and I understand this problem this way, that all are not technical savvy. So sometimes it is by default they are unmuted, or when they try to, they are not able to listen properly. They think by unmuting they listen it better, because there are some technical issues in India. Everyone is not a technical savvy. So I make myself very tolerant to all that, and always juggling between keeping the discipline. So I still thank all the participants for their active participation and their spirit of learning. Thank you for your concern. Thank you. Bye bye.
thank you, sir. Thank you.